Hey everybody, Rob Maurer here. Welcome back to Tesla Daily. Today we've got a huge milestone for Tesla, the first production Cybertruck, a number of other stories including updates on Giga Berlin, advertising, a couple of news items on Tesla's board of directors, and more. Nice start to the week for Tesla stock as the overall market strength continues. Tesla up 3.2% today to close at $290.38, while the Nasdaq was up 0.9% to start the week. A big week, of course, as the predominant calendar item is earnings. Tesla will post their Q2 earnings results after market close on Wednesday. We'll do the normal live coverage for that and a quick preview episode tomorrow. Heading into that report, Tesla did get a couple of updated price targets from analysts, both Wells Fargo and Baird increasing their price targets. Colin Langan of Wells Fargo increasing from $170 to $265 per share for his price target, and Ben Kalo of Baird increasing from $252 to $300. Alright, so of course the biggest news for Tesla right now, over the weekend, Tesla tweeting a photo of the Cybertruck surrounded by employees of Giga Texas, saying that they have now produced the first Cybertruck at Giga Texas. So depending on how you want to define it, I think we can now say that the Cybertruck is officially in production a little bit less than 4 years after the unveiling. Now, the little bit of debate left would be if this is actually a release candidate, if this is truly a vehicle that could be and maybe eventually will be delivered to customers. For now, according to this video from Gregor Truck that is purportedly this same first production Cybertruck exiting the factory, it does still have manufacturer plates on, so not a customer vehicle, at least as of yet. This actually caused a bit of confusion today on Twitter too, as this tweet was briefly community noted saying that it wasn't the first production truck because of those manufacturer plates. But Gregor Truck clarifying that no, this video is the one that was built. So ultimately up to your own interpretation. We'll see how Tesla defines it in the earnings deck on Wednesday. Remember, they break out each factory and product and the status of those product lines. And hopefully we'll see the Cybertruck saying in production. I'm sure we're going to get a lot of nice photos from Tesla as well. And maybe some hints from Elon on where things go from here. Right now though, definitely cause for celebration. It seems like a lot of the leaks that we have been seeing over the last couple of months really have been significant. We do even have a couple more of those today, again from Tesla Phoenix on Twitter, with a few more photos of the body in white, so the big castings and stamped pieces from a couple of new angles. Not anything that I can take much insight away from personally, but if you can, let us know in the comments. One other quick note on the Cybertruck, one of Tesla's new board members, Joe Gebbia, tweeted that he took a test ride in one of the Cybertrucks and said, "Wait till you feel the handle of these with four-wheel steering." So we've seen this on display a number of times. Not surprising that this feature would be included, but those could have been prototypes. There's no guarantee that that's going to make it into a production vehicle, but this would seem to be much more of a confirmation that that will in fact happen. So good to see that as well. Perhaps related to all of this news with the Cybertruck, we do have an update on the Ford F-150 Lightning quickly as well. Ford has lowered the prices by anywhere from $6,000 to $10,000 across various trims of the F-150 Lightning. The biggest cut actually comes to the cheapest version, which is the Lightning Pro. That used to start at just under $60,000, now has moved to $49,995, with other trims running all the way up to about $100,000. As we have talked about though, pricing here has been pretty volatile, so Reuters put together a nice graph of the opening price point over time. So there was a series of price increases prior to this cut. I wouldn't necessarily consider that opening price of $39,990 to have really been that much of a legitimate price, probably more of a marketing move, but I still think good context to have. Anyway, as it relates to the Cybertruck, obviously the timing here, quite interesting. First production vehicle, and then immediately price cuts from Ford. And Elon did actually comment on those cuts today, saying, "The Ford Lightning is a good vehicle, just somewhat expensive, especially given the high interest rates these days for any kind of loan." So an interesting comment, especially as we await pricing details for the Cybertruck, which at unveiling the lineup ran from $40,000 to $70,000. But since then, Elon had hinted that things would probably have to come in a little bit higher than that. Hopefully him suggesting that the F-150 Lightning is a little bit expensive means that in terms of the range we'll consider for the Cybertruck, it's not too far out of bounds from those initial announcements. I don't think we'll get those details during the earnings call, but hopefully later this quarter because things are looking on track for sort of that delivery event or unveiling that Elon alluded to previously. We'll move on from the trucks now, but just kind of the last thing, although things do look really positive here, just remember this is a long road. Production is going to take a long time to get to volume. Elon has noted the difficulty of this many times, so just important to remember as we are in the midst of all of the excitement about the beginning of production. Perhaps a good example of that, the Tesla Semi, we do have a little bit of news here. A new image from Autopilot on Twitter shows 10 Tesla Semis at Giga Nevada, and as he has circled, there are a couple here that look to be different variants, perhaps Tesla doing some testing of different designs for different use cases, or maybe they're the same vehicles with different body panels attached or detached. Either way, good to see that testing continue, and just to be clear, obviously the Semi a very different circumstance than the Cybertruck, with the Cybertruck having its actual full-scale production line compared to the Semi, which was more of a test production line situation. Alright, next up, a couple of news items on Tesla's board of directors. The first is a large legal settlement in a case dating back to 2020 that alleged overpayment for directors beginning back in June of 2017. So the headline here says that this is a $735 million settlement, but some of the details suggest that the settlement will be resolved by the return of 3.1 million shares from board members to Tesla itself, which at today's prices would be about $900 million. So this is a big settlement. I haven't followed this case closely enough to have a real strong opinion on it. I do have an opinion on Elon Musk's compensation plan, which I think was very clearly structured, heavily at risk, and ultimately extremely rewarding to shareholders, but that is not a part of this settlement. So I don't know enough about these particular compensation plans to have that much of a strong opinion on this one. But if we look at the result to Tesla aside from the public relations impact, this does wind up being beneficial to the company in terms of clawing back those shares, which should reduce the outstanding share count and therefore increase, although very small, increase earnings per share. It would obviously then represent additional shares that Tesla could at some point issue for that commensurate amount of cash. This type of a settlement structure seems to make a lot more sense to me. It's actually helping shareholders versus something like we saw for the SEC funding secured settlement, which really seemed to primarily benefit traders, even short sellers potentially. I'm not sure when or exactly how it will look when this does get recognized, but we'll keep an eye out for that, and if I have any more information on that, I'll pass it along. The other news item involving Tesla's board today was a letter from Senator Elizabeth Warren to the SEC requesting an investigation into Tesla and its board for management of conflicts of interest around Elon's acquisition of Twitter and subsequent actions. I think by now we have talked plenty about these circumstances. I doubt anyone's really looking for more discussion on that at this point. So I think we'll just move on from that. We'll see what happens, but certainly a good day for her to pick to do that with the settlement news from Tesla's board happening at the same time. Next, we've got a quick update on Giga Berlin. As we had talked about last week, we should be seeing the publishing of Tesla's expansion plans later this week for public review. The Wall Street Journal published an article today discussing these expansion plans. We already talked about all that, but they did have a couple of quotes from a Tesla spokesperson who said that the expansion would not require additional fresh water from local sources because the plant has facilities to recycle wastewater to provide additional water for increased production. So I think we had previously seen some rumors that that was going to be the case, but very good to hear and should make the approval process much simpler. And then the report also states that the spokesperson said that the expansion would increase Tesla's headcount at Giga Berlin from about 10,000 today up to 22,500 employees. So sounds like the rumors of the expansion being for 1 million vehicles or so sound about right. All right, next we've got an interesting update from Holmars on Twitter, posted a photo of a magazine with apparently an ad for Tesla's Model Y. It's a full-page ad with a photo of a Model Y. It says, "Meet Model Y, the best-selling car in the world is on display at Goodwood. Drive it for yourself, tesla.com/drive." From the Twitter comments, it sounds like this magazine is the Goodwood Festival of Speed 2023 magazine and show guide. So it definitely looks like an ad. I don't know how much Tesla would have paid for this. Maybe they didn't pay for it. I'm not familiar with the publication, so it's not very clear to me, but if nothing else, it gives us some insight into what Tesla might do with an ad, what they might focus on. And best-selling car in the world, that is certainly a nice accolade to highlight. So we've seen the Google AdWords campaign now, we've seen maybe a magazine ad here, and Tesla I think has been a little bit more active with email marketing, obviously the referral program, promotion seemingly getting a lot more attention recently. On a similar note, Tesla seems to have launched a promotional campaign this summer in Europe called Electric Summer, which will be a series of different events, which seem to be intended to allow opportunities for people to come and interact with Tesla's products, with maybe a few little fun events planned alongside those opportunities. All right, last couple of things. One, a follow-up to a topic we discussed last week, which was the version 4 Supercharger pedestal that was posted by Tesla Owners UK that seemed to have a screen and potentially a card reader. It was a little bit difficult to see, but the account has shared a few more photos, so definitely something going on there, still a little bit tricky to see, and unfortunate watermark placement adding to that difficulty, but something to continue to keep an eye out for. And then lastly, we do have a new comment from Hyundai on their possible adoption of NACS. Their president said that they are still considering it and said, quote, "We will decide soon on whether to join the Charging Alliance, taking into account the benefits to our customers, such as how to apply the charging fees discount that Tesla customers get if our customers go to Tesla for charging and it takes longer," end quote. So I'm not entirely clear on what he's referring to there, if he's saying that Tesla owners should get a discount if there's a Hyundai slowing their charging down, or if he's saying that it's going to cost a Hyundai more because they're going to be charging for a longer period of time, and some superchargers have to charge per minute. I'm not really sure, but probably most importantly, the update that they will decide something soon. All right, that is it for today then. As always, thank you for listening. Make sure you're subscribed and signed up for notifications. You can also find me on Twitter at Tesla Podcast, and we'll see you tomorrow for the Tuesday, July 18th episode of Tesla Daily. Thank you.